when it's clear to you who you are, you get a better picture of what success looks like for you.
Hey everyone, welcome to Chats About Success. It's the podcast to know how Filipinos can succeed in today's world. I'm your host, Daniel Antin, and today's episode is sponsored by the Entitled Podcast Network. If you're interested in starting your own podcast, or if you want someone to manage your podcast promotions or edit your podcast episodes, the Entitled Podcast Network has got you covered. Full disclaimer, this is my own company, so if you want to work with me to get your podcast on the air, send an email to entitledgroupofficial@gmail.com. And today, guys, we have another one of my friends on the show. She's a working student, social media influencer, entrepreneur, model, new dog mom, and many more. Everyone say hello to Maddie Cruz. Maddie, kumusta?
Hi, thank you so much, Davi, for having me on your show.
Dude, I'm so excited. Like,
Long time in fairness, long time.
oh nga eh. That's why I made this podcast, para lang mag-hello ako sa friends ko. But guys, like, I've always told Maddie this when I met her years ago. She was already a working student then. Because like secretly it's my dream to be a working student, which I'm doing now. Because like you get trained more and you're more driven, right? And that's basically what Maddie is. And I really looked up to her. She already knows how much praise I give her. So Maddie, tell everyone who you are and what you currently do.
Okay, so hi, I'm Maddie Cruz. I'm a student, so I'm currently taking up AB Foreign Service, major in diplomacy, and ano pa ba? So I write, I handle social media, I try to help out when I can. I'm obsessed with dogs. I've tried putting up my own businesses. So far, parang it's the trickier part for me. But yeah, I do a lot of things, and Davi's right. I've been a working student for I got delayed kasi 'di ba I moved out. We'll get to that later on. Pero parang I've been a working student for like 3-4 years now. So yeah.
And like when are you expecting to graduate?
It's supposed to be next year. This year. I would say this year kasi 2020. So 2021 dapat this year. But then because of COVID, parang iba kasi yung arrangements, and then there's been problems with like subject offering. So I'll have to wait a bit more. But yeah, like totally fine with me, honestly.
So like 2021, you're done ish?
Yeah, supposedly. Pero parang yung thing na
Wow.
extended pa by ng 2022.
Oh my. Pero at least, 'di ba, malapit na. So yeah, Maddie does a lot. 'Di ba, you're currently wait, what's your job now?
Right now, actually, it's mostly freelance. So I'm doing social media consultancy for some startups, and then a lot of side hustles, ganyan. So, yeah, that's what I've been doing throughout the quarantine. And then I'm also trying to, parang na-stop kasi yung business ko kasi parang one of my staff got sick. And parang I didn't foresee that. So parang medyo hindi ko alam like how do I move forward from this? What do I do if it happens again? Ganyan, ganyan. So parang I put it to a pause. But then I'm also working on bringing it back to life this year. And hopefully like it doesn't get stopped anymore once I do that.
Got it. And we'll get more into those later. So, Mads, can you quickly tell us like what you do on a normal day? Like on an average day? It could be pre-COVID as well.
Yeah, okay. So before kasi, my days are really crazy. Like, I would sleep at sobrang late na. I mean, I'm not, parang hindi to magandang benchmark na kung paano nyo gagawin yung araw nyo. Pero pre-COVID, I think I would sleep at like 12, 1, then wake up at 6, prepare kasi I'm gonna go to the office and spend a few hours in the office and then commute going to Intramuros kasi I have class. Or sometimes it's the other way around. I go to school and then right after school, I commute back to Makati to go to the office. So yun. Ganon siya. Like, or sometimes I have meetings pa elsewhere. So parang sometimes yung route ko pa would be Intramuros, then Ortigas, then Makati, or like Makati, tas Ortigas, tas Intramuros. So ano talaga siya, like magulo. Like it got to a point na parang I commissioned a habal driver to wait for me so I don't get late. Kasi nga hindi talaga kakayanin. Even if I take a Grab or the MRT, parang the fastest way to go is through a motorcycle. So, yun. And then, during COVID, parang that changed. So at one point, I would wake up at 1 and then parang yeah, and then wait until I'm 100% functional and then start working. Tapos that would go on until 3, 4 in the morning and then wake up the next day again at 1 p.m. But then, yeah, sobrang weird.
Why will it go to 3 or 4 in the morning?
Kasi 1 na ako nagising eh. So parang, yun. 1 na ako nagising eh.
Wait. You wake up by 1, then you chill for a while, and then pure work lang you until 4 in the morning, or like may studies dyan?
Siyempre parang may mga, di ba, mga ginagawa ko pang kung ano-ano. Tapos, yun. And then that changed again. So at one point, I would wake up at 8, work out 8 to 9, and then start working at 10. Then I put a hard stop, like mga 10 to 10 stop na yun. Like, work lang yun. Tapos yun, 10 to 10. 11, I should be in bed. Yun. So nagbabago na naman siya kasi may dog na ako. So now I wake up at 7, 8. Then I try to work out and then yun. And then parang I try to be more focused kasi I have ADD. So parang I think that's also why my work hours are long. Kasi to be honest, I'm not the most focused person. Like I think naman I get things done. But then, yun. Parang, ang dami kong
Yeah. Is like having ADD, is this the reason kung ba't sobrang dami mong ginagawa? Like, do you get bored with one thing and just do another thing? Or is it like, do you just like being, overwhelmed with doing a lot of things?
how do I say it? Parang, I mean, I do get overwhelmed. But I feel like, as someone with ADD, all the more I don't get anything done when I'm just doing one thing. I don't know if that makes sense. Parang if I'm just doing one job, parang lalo akong walang nagagawa.
Got it. No, that makes perfect sense. And basically, Mads, you're currently a working student, and then are you paying for everything? Because you did mention that you moved out already. Are you paying for like your tuition fee and all your bills?
Yeah, I moved out at 19. So from 19 until now, I'm 24 now. So 5 years. Ako lahat yun. So I pay for my phone bill, rent, travel, yeah, tuition. Sometimes nagbibigay, na full disclosure, nagbibigay yung dad ko. But then, I say na I'm financially independent kasi with or without what my dad gives, hindi mo alam parang kumbaga ano lang talaga yun, lambing niya lang yun. Ano niya lang yun, regalo niya lang yun, paayuda niya lang yun. Pero parang everything yan, travel, shopping, bills, utilities, insurance, yeah, that's all me. So I'm not funded, I do the funding, charot. Pero, yun.
That's so amazing though. Wait. Let's go back to when you first moved out, because it's not a norm in the Philippines. In like other parts of the world, like in North America, 18 pa lang wala ka na sa house. But it's not the norm in the Philippines. You moved out at 19. When you moved out, like, how did that go? Did you have a job already, or like did you just use your savings to get by and then you got a job? Like, can you quickly narrate how that went?
Honestly, I didn't have savings. Parang I remember moving out and just having 5,000 in my wallet and my bank account. Like, yun na yun. That's it. I only have 5,000. And parang now I would tell people, I remember so clearly na when I found the dorm that felt right for me, parang I was begging pa my landlady na parang, sige na po, pa-move in niyo po, babayaran ko. As in, wala talaga, babayaran ko yung deposit sa sweldo. As in, ganong level. Tapos as in, nagmamakaawa ko for what? For 3,000 pesos. Kasi wala talaga akong pera. I like, couldn't afford it talaga. Pero yun. Pero I did have a job then. Pero kasi parang they don't teach you how to handle money kasi. 'Di ba? Parang tapos parang kapag medyo like ako, yung parents ko, we're not well off. So parang hindi rin sila 100%. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, pero and it's not entirely their fault. Pero parang they were hard workers, pero they weren't exactly aware or they weren't taught how to handle money. Parang whatever they know about money, they know it because they made mistakes and they had to go through it by themselves. Pero they weren't, like, the type na alam talaga how to handle money. And I think that's how it is for most middle class families. So yun, I did have a job then, but parang ano lang talaga siya, parang charot-charot lang ganun.
What was your job then?
Parang I was helping out as a staff in an amusement place.
Okay.
Yun. Parang yun. As in, ano lang talaga. Alam mo, parang, I mean, it's not, there's nothing wrong with it. Pero, it's not a job someone would count on to move out. Parang ganun.
Mm.
So, medyo siraulo na lang. Medyo baliw din talaga ako.
Yeah, because you were doing this job, right? And then you had to pay for everything. Then you had to pay for tuition. Like, eventually, did you get like another job to like, pay, sustain your lifestyle?
At that time, I wasn't paying for tuition yet.
Okay.
Kasi parang I dropped out eh. And yun nga, tama ka din doon. It's actually a little frowned upon. Especially when you're a girl, tapos you move out. Tapos hindi pa ako tapos ng college, nag-move out na ako. So feeling ng mga tao, ano ako, like, anak ng demonyo or something. Like, feeling nila crazy talaga ako, ganyan. Pero yeah, that's when I started dabbling into social media. I think because among all the fields, industries out there, social media kasi is the one that you can most easily get into. I think that's a good and a bad thing. Pero, syempre, for people like me who wasn't experiencing anything else, it was a good thing. Kasi, parang as compared to other, other fields, mahirapan ako pumasok eh. Pero with social media, it's kind of like a fair playing field for anybody. Just as long as you know how to write, you have good command of English, kahit papano may aesthetic ka, hindi ka sobrang baduy, parang may chance ka, may potential ka.
Got it. And was it scary though? Were you afraid of that decision, or were you like 100%, dedicated na it's gonna work out for you?
When I moved out, I would always, always, always talk to myself. Like, anong nangyari, hindi ka uuwi. As in, kahit kumain ka ng toyo at kanin at kumapit ka sa sabaw everyday, hindi ka uuwi. As in, until now, that's what I tell myself. Like, syempre, parang bata pa ako noon, so parang teenage angst, yada. Hindi kami okay ng parents ko, ng time niyan. Pero now, even now that we're okay, parang it's still out of the picture. There's no way I am going home. And I think that's not, parang syempre before, my intention for moving out was to prove my parents wrong. Mali kayo, ganito ako, magaling ako, kaya ko to, blah, blah, blah. And parang I am proud of that, na napatunayan ko, na feeling ko naman magaling ako kasi hindi naman ako magsusurvive for 5 years kung hindi ako magaling, di ba? But I also realized na it's not just that eh. Parang it's also kind of respect for yourself that when you say you would do something, you would do it. Diba? And it's so important that you respect yourself. Like, people don't talk about it a lot, but it's so important that you respect yourself. Kasi when you don't respect yourself and when you tell yourself you're gonna do something, chances are, wala yun. Parang hindi mo siya gagawin. Kasi hindi mo nire-respect yung sarili mong word eh. Parang, okay, for example, you say, this year, this is what I'm gonna do. But then, at the back of your head, you don't respect yourself. So, wala, hindi mo siya gagawin kasi hindi mo nire-respect yung sarili mo eh. You don't respect yourself enough to, actually make it happen. And yun, and that's super important for me. And I think that's what has kept me going. Kasi feeling ko, kapag hindi ko tinupad yun, parang feeling ko kasi, as long as nagagawa ko tong one thing na to, I can do practically anything. And I feel like if ma-break ko yun, yung sinabi ko na yun, na hindi talaga ako uuwi, parang mawawala yung respect ko sa sarili ko and parang hindi ko na magagawa yung mga ibang bagay na gusto kong gawin. Kasi nga, di ba, parang ito yun eh. Because I made this happen, I feel like I can do anything.
Love it. Dude, I'm smiling right now because this is exactly like why I look up to Maddie so much. He's like, I don't know, man, 5, 6 or more years like younger than I am. But just her mindset and like, parang if you know someone na who can set their mind into doing something and then they'll actually do it and achieve it, that's Maddie. That's why I'm super smiling like right now because I get to see, how she thinks and stuff. So Maddie, I see you hustling all the time, on my feed. Like, I just want to ask, because as a working student, so you have a job, but you have other like side hustles as well. Like, what other sources of income or projects do you have now? Because you do have a lot.
Yeah. Well, so yun, I'm doing consulting for this e-commerce site. And then I started working with this girl. She runs a couple of companies and she's based in New York. So there's also that. I'm dabbling into SEO for an international client. So yun. And then what else? Parang a few writing gigs here and there. Tapos yun, tapos benta ng mga clothes. Benta ko yung mga damit. Kasi narealize ko, oh my gosh, ang dami kong damit. As in, Davi, sobrang nakakatawa. 5 years na ako move out. Wala akong cabinet, wala akong induction cooker, wala akong electric fan. Di ba? Paano yun? As in, yun ko lang na-realize. Parang bumili lang ako ngayon kasi I recently moved into a unit na as in ako lang mag-isa. So wala akong gamit, wala akong kaldero, wala akong plato, wala akong baso. So, take notes. Parang huwag niyo gayahin sa part na yun. As in, ang dami kong damit. Pero when I took out all my clothes, napuno yung sala. Tapos parang, wala akong kutsara, wala akong tinidor.
What? Ano ginagamit mo? Like,
Wala kung ano yung nasa lipatan ko, yung bumibili ng sarili ko. Di ba? Sobrang, ano ba girl? Para 5 years ka nits. Alam mo ba, kailan lang ako nagkaroon ng drawer? Nasa drawer ko ha. Parang last year lang. So yung sabi mo mga damit ko nakakalat dyan. So yung gayahin yung part na yun. I'm just being honest kasi I want people to know that, you know, you can look like you're doing things pretty okay. Tapos yung mga kalat ka pa rin in your life. Parang okay lang yun. It adds color to your personality para di ka boring.
that's good though, kasi that basically shows like your growth, diba? Like, imagine you moved out, tas wala kang sariling gamit, and 5 years later you suddenly have, you know, your own stuff. Even if it's just a small thing like, you know, an electric fan or something, it's a good achievement,
Kasi
yo.
ngayon ako nagkaroon ng electric fan. So, there's that.
Super proud of you, yo. What's your best tip for working students though?
This is gonna be a little long, but I think it's worth saying. Yun nga, if I told you earlier about me practically begging my landlady to let me move in, even if I didn't have money for the deposit yet. And you know, just thinking, tapos ngayon, parang now I moved into a bigger unit kasi I have a dog. I chose one with a balcony. It's not naman super expensive. Like, it's really a steal for the price. And I've prepared for the move for a few months last year. So, latter part of last year, I was already preparing to move. And parang, alam mo yun, as in, may PC ako ah. Like, even if I lose some gigs now, I still have some wiggle room. I still have some money to, you know, sustain me for a couple of months. But I'm so scared. Like, sobrang natatakot ako na what if I can't afford this unit? What if I can't pay for this? What if I can't pay for that? Blah, blah, blah. What if hindi siya maging enough and I end up having to move out because I don't have money? Which is, you know, 19-year-old me, zero savings, sobrang tigas ng muka. Versus me now na parang, alam mo yon, parang ready ka nga eh. Technically ready ka nga eh. Alam mo na eh, gets mo na 5 years mo na ginagawa. Ngayon ka pa natatakot. So what I'm saying is, it's kind of true what they say. Like, you really lose that fire as you get older. As in, yung tapang mo, yung lakas ng loob mo, yung curiosity mo, you lose that as you get older.
Why is that?
And I think it's because you become, parang you see more of the world, you experience loss, you don't want to feel like a loser again. You get scared, and maybe because, you know, as you age, parang you have a few things under your name, and parang kahit paano, parang kumbaga, pag nakaangat-angat ka na ng konti, may mga bagay ka nang matatakot ka na mawala sa'yo. So what I'm saying is, you know, honestly, they'll forgive you when you're young. So whatever it is that you want to do while you're young, as long as you feel like it's gonna be good for you, just do it. Kasi as you get older, you have more reasons not to do the things that you want. You'll have obligations. You'll be more scared. As in, okay, like, people kasi will tell you, just wait na lang when you're a little bit older, or when you're a bit more mature, when you're more financially capable, when you have a stable job. Like, okay, pero for me, that's really bullshit. Kasi, like, okay, it's good to have more resources, but as a young person, your most powerful weapon talaga is yung fire that comes with being young. And the sad thing about that is, hindi mo mapapansin na nawawala na siya sa'yo. You'll only, parang it's just gonna hit you one day that, oh shit, I'm not as brave, or I'm not as courageous as I used to be. Like, I'm not as strong as I was when I was 19. And that's sad because it's never gonna be the same. Like, you can try, but it's never gonna be the same. So, like, my advice is, there's really, parang the most valuable weapon you can have is that curiosity, that bravery, that courage, that drive. You know, yung healthy kind of yabang na feeling mo, my dream is mine. So you fight for it. And that's something that you have when you're young. And sadly, you actually lose it as you get older. So, alam mo yon. So, pag bata ka pa, gawin mo talaga lahat. Kasi I don't think I would experience what I have now if my 19-year-old self didn't go through all that ugly things for me. So, yun. Kasi yun nga, it's sad talaga. You don't know, parang di mo alam na wawala na siya sa'yo. You just wake up one day and you realize, oh shit, I'm an adult. And I'm an adult who has fears, who thinks about money all the time. I'm not as brave, I'm not as courageous, I'm not as spontaneous as I used to be. So while you're young, just freaking go for it.
That's super powerful. Like I want to ask though, like, where does your drive come from? Like, did this just start when you moved out, or even when you were a kid, you were already this driven?
Um, Honestly, feeling ko parang it helped that I understood at a young age that I wasn't owed anything. Like, di ba, you know naman my story, my mom and I were in good terms for the longest time, and that's why sobrang rebelde ko, sobrang sprak ko, sobrang... And I think as my friend, that's one of the things that you really saw me change. Like, from this angsty teenager to just someone who's chill, who's just happy, who's just, makulit, sobrang ganun lang. Pero parang even with all of that, even with, I mean, syempre there was a time na parang, oh shit, kawawa naman ako, blah, blah, blah. May ganun din akong face. And I think we all go through that. But then I think what really made the difference for me was at a young age, I understood completely that I wasn't owed anything. So parang I feel like whenever I would want something, I had to work for it. Kasi I just know for a fact I wasn't owed anything. And I think that's that's one of I'm not saying parang trauma is or parang childhood trauma is invalid or that it's not serious or that it doesn't matter. But for me, honestly, what makes childhood unresolved childhood issues and trauma so dangerous is that it shapes you whether you like it or not. It shapes kasi the kind of person you become as an adult. And what's more dangerous than the pain that comes with the trauma is the kind of person you become when you're traumatized. Like I'm not saying it's not valid or I'm not trying to downplay trauma because it's a real thing. Pero kasi I feel like ako personally, there were times in my life that the trauma made me entitled. Made me think na I was entitled to special treatment or certain privileges just because I went through a rough childhood, just because I had a messed up family background. But in reality, I'm not. As in, you know, it's painful to say it, but once you accept that, the world doesn't owe you anything, and that, alam mo yun, everyone is pretty much going through the same thing as you, and that you're not to be given special privileges just because you think you got hurt as a kid or you went through things as an adult, blah, 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 nasaktan ka, heartbroken ka, whatever. Hindi pa din eh. Parang, and once you accept that, that's when you truly become in charge and that's when you truly get to take control of your life. Kasi hindi ka na umaasa or hindi ka na nag-expect ng anything eh. You just do things on your own. And I think yun talaga, parang, I think that's what made all the difference for me in my life. Like, whatever I went through, I just knew for a fact na parang hindi ito reason for me to just wait for things to happen. Or hindi to reason for me to just believe na it's gonna come to me. Like, whatever it is, I have to work for it. I have to earn it. If I want to have it, I need to, alam mo yun, I need to get my hands dirty and get it myself.
Sheesh. That was a good answer. You're awesome, Mads. Um, I want to ask though, since you're super goal driven, I want to ask, what's the ultimate goal for you?
Parang, honestly, it's gonna sound weird and cheesy, hindi naman love or whatever. Parang yuck. Hindi. Parang hindi ako ganun as a person. Parang, how do I put it? I think my ultimate goal or parang yung gusto ko talaga is one day, parang me moving out at 19 isn't the thing I'm proudest of. Or parang yung ultimate goal ko is, I experience a life so interesting. I'm not gonna feel like moving out at 19 is my biggest achievement. Or working since I was 16 is my biggest flex. Like, I think, as in like hands down sa lahat ng tao na parang, alam mo yun, parang self-made and all. And I'm really proud of that also. Like, that's why also I'm not scared of being alone. Parang I'm not pressured into dating because I know what I bring to the table. So I'm not, alam mo yun, I'm not really scared of sitting alone for a while. But then, parang now that my mind has been more open because of my course, because, I've done exchange. I've lived in a different country for a month. Parang, alam mo yun, parang nag-iba na yung direction ng pag-iisip ko. Parang I just realized na I think the goal is, you stop associating your worth with how many jobs you've handled, like, or what position you've held, or how much money you have in your bank. And I think parang yung goal talaga is you get to own success no matter what it means for you. Not defined by capitalism or parang alam mo yun, parang I think yun talaga, like, parang I wanna have more stories to tell than just being able to move out at 19. Like, I'm really proud of that. But, yun, parang I just, parang gusto ko sobrang maging interesting yung life ko. Like, I don't even dream of being super rich anymore. I just want to be rich enough to afford whatever kalokohan it is or kagagahan it is that I want to spend money on. Pero, parang yun, parang I just want to be at the point na I stop counting.
Yeah. But what's your, like, since you mentioned like success is subjective for everyone, I want to know, like, what's your definition of success and kung ano yung highest form of success to you?
Yun nga, kasi before parang gusto ko by 25, may million na ako. I think, Davi, di ba? Alam mo yan. Alam ko. Kilala mo rin yan at one point in your life.
Oo naman.
Pero parang, for me now, success is, ano ba? Well, nabasa ko lang na parang it's different for everyone, but it definitely feels the same. Pero for me, success is no longer second-guessing my decisions. Kasi, alam mo yun, as confident as I seem talking about all of this, there's this little voice in my head that tells me, gaga ka, dapat nagstay ka na lang sa UANP, dapat hindi ka masyado nagbida-bida, dapat, alam mo yun, dapat nag-basketball ka na lang, tapos gumraduate ka on time. Kasi, alam mo, naiisip ko pa din yun sometimes. So, feeling ko, I would know I am successful when that voice completely shuts up. Yun. And parang, yun naman yun. Parang for me, success kasi is, parang for me kasi success is owning your life, fully having ownership of your life. Like, being so at peace with your life, what other people have to say about it doesn't matter anymore. I feel like for as long as you care about what other people have to say, or for as long as you listen, parang you still hear, or you still leave some space for unnecessary criticism about your life. Parang, for me, baka hindi pa kasi ako contented sa life ko. Parang there's still certain, I feel like kasi naman na it's never gonna be perfect. It's never going to be 100% na wala ka nang masasabi. But then I feel like you do get to a point na wala ka nang pakialam. Like, parang gets ko, mali siya, I'm working on it, but I really don't care anymore what other people have to say or comment about my life. And yun, parang for me, yun eh. Like, it's not money, it's not a position. Well, I would love to work for, the Philippines as an ambassador. That's a really big goal for me. But then, more than that, parang this whole COVID thing has made me realize na those things are good, but I think it's rare to find peace of mind in a world like ours. And when you do find it, you're lucky and you're truly successful.
Dude, I agree. Mads, before we get into the last three questions, I just want to say again, thank you for, taking the time to speak with me. Alam ko umaga dyan ngayon, 9 a.m.
Thank
Nagising
you
ka,
also.
nagising ka 1 p.m. So thanks for waking up for this. And
Narigigising na umaga kasi may dog na ako.
oo nga pala. Okay. But I just want to say, again, super proud of you, and I'm pretty sure that day will come na I'll be more proud of you, like for another thing rather than, being a working student and moving out at 19. I'm sure that day will come real soon. So I wish you all the best. Um Mads, if people want to get in touch with you, or if, follow you online, where can they find you?
Um, you can follow me on Instagram. That's at Maddie Cruz, like mud as in putek, Muddy Cruise, like cruise ship. I'm also on Twitter, but I wouldn't suggest you follow me there. Facebook. Yeah, that's about it.
Got it. And Mads, who do you know that should be on the podcast next?
Tough question. I think, well, you know her. It says you don't. But I'm better if I suggest you don't. But I think you should invite Lauren next on the podcast. Because she's been cooking up some pretty interesting things.
Lauren Yap?
Yeah.
Ah, got it. Yeah, yeah. I interviewed her like yesterday ata. So sakto lang. We're on the same wavelength. Yeah, that was amazing, y'all. If you haven't listened to that episode, listen to it. Matt, last question is, if you were to give one tip for somebody to be successful, what would it be?
Mm, I think it's to build an identity outside your financial or professional achievements. Because it's like, as a young person, especially, it's so easy to define who you are based on how much money you make or what you've achieved as a working person. But I feel like it's never gonna stop for you if you define yourself like that. So for me, I think if you want to be successful, you need to know who you are and have an identity outside that. Because if you just keep chasing it, if you do that, you can keep doing that, keep defining yourself based on what you've achieved as a student, as a working person, as like financially speaking, as an adult, it's never gonna stop, and you're never gonna be happy. And money is more elusive to those who chase it. So, yon. Another thing yon, kakahabol mo ng pera, lalo kung hindi magkakapera. So, huwag mong gawin yun. Huwag kang magpaalipin sa salapi. Pero yun, I think yun talaga, like, find who you are, figure out who you are outside all the things you're doing. Because when you know who you are, then it becomes clear to you what makes you happy. Not really happy. I'm not a fan of the whole happiness thing, to be honest. Pero parang when it's clear to you who you are, you get a better picture of what success looks like for you. And for you to get there, you need to see it clearly. Diba? So if you get a distorted vision of what success looks like for you because you keep defining yourself based on what you achieve, what you know, or what your position, how much money you have, then once you do get to that vision of success, it's not going to be worth it kasi hindi talaga yun yung success for you. So, yun, it starts with understanding and accepting who you really are outside all of these fancy, competitive, whatever.
That's fire. Maddie, thanks for stopping by. Maddie Cruz, everyone.
Thank you so much, Happy.
Thanks, Mads. And that's it, folks. That ends today's episode. If you want to watch a full video of this episode, just subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just search for Chats About Success. And to get more content behind the scenes, or if you want to be a part of the community, follow us on Instagram.com/successchats. And if you need help in getting your podcast published, edited, or promoted, just send an email to entitledgroupofficial@gmail.com. Until then, I hope you achieve your goals, and I'll see you on the next episode. Peace.